Our purpose this evening is to have a conversation with Larry Barlow as representative of the Florida Family Therapy, is it association? Is that what the A stands for? Alliance. Excuse me. The Florida Family Therapy Alliance. And our primary purpose is not only for the people on the call this evening, but to create a recording to share with everybody of both organizations as we attempt to explain the difference and why you might want to join one, other, or both. Oh, Robin, nice. Is that your office or your home?
Home.
Home, very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
I have a 7 o'clock appointment at home.
So. Okay, very good. Very good. Alrighty then. Well, so Larry, it's great to see you on here. And just in the spirit of full disclosure, I am currently both a paying member of FFTA and the FIN.
Right.
And I believe, Larry, you are as well.
Right.
I am too.
And so is Irma.
Yeah.
So Annalyn, I have a question. So when I renewed my dues for AMFT, I added FAMFT at the time, or the Florida division.
The FIN, right.
So I don't know whether it went to FIN or FFTA.
It's an excellent question, So once again, the FIN is a subsidiary, sort of like the division, sort of kind of like, of AMFT, whereas FFTA is not affiliated in any way, financially, legally, communication, I could say some other things, but I'll let Larry, who's far more politically adept than I am. I tend to be politically incorrect with some frequency. So, so yes, they are not. So when you paid your money for FIN, that money went to the FIN organization, the online organization, minus some reasonably large percentage that AMFT takes for processing.
So then how would I find out about, so I wasn't really sure, therefore I haven't paid dues for FFTA, which I would like to do.
Very good. So that's something we need to make very clear. How does one become a member of FFTA if they wished to?
Right.
But Robin, you explained that if one wishes to be a member of FIN, it's AMFT membership, and at time of renewal or at time of any point you want to, you can go in and add FIN, and those fees then go to FIN. And one of the reasons you want to do that is because the FIN is responsible for paying half of the lobbyists' fees. So right now, FFTA, as far as I know, doesn't pay for the lobbyist.
No.
The FIN does, and then AMFT pays half. So it's half and half, right? And that is at the cost of $750 a month. So if we don't have membership, you know, ongoing and updating, then we will eventually not be able to afford the lobbyist. And our membership in the division, when I was president quite a long time ago, was at about 1,200 people, in the neighborhood of 1,200 people. At the present time, Irma, we're at what, 377? 374?
377.
Something.
Yeah, I have 377. Yeah.
Right. So what's happening is that when people renew, so either people are not renewing for AMFT at all, and therefore not being a part of FIN. They are renewing for AMFT, but not joining the FIN, right?
Do you know any of the numbers?
How do you mean?
In Florida, people who live in Florida who are still members of AMFT and have chosen not to be a member of FIN? Or
that we have not been given, but we have been asking for that so that we could reach out to those people.
Yeah.
But at the present time, all they're giving, all AMFT is providing to us are the FIN members. not the Florida AMFT members who are not part of FIN, so that we could reach out. But we're working on trying to get that kind of information.
Yeah.
So Carrie Baldwin, good evening. Glad you're here. Since you're one of the people, the least I could do is welcome you. So, so what is the purpose of the FIN? So the FIN is the statewide organization, and we are 100% cyber. So our meetings are always going to be in webinar form like this. We will eventually be providing CEUs. In fact, in July, the webinar that we will do with Richard Long up in the upper right corner will be on telemental health. And that will be very interesting because Richard is going to talk about the new law that just came out and will go into effect July 1st. So we're as timely as probably humanly possible on that.
What's the date?
July 18th. July 18th, same 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll check.
And it'll be a different link, but it will be in the newsletter on the website and sent via emails. So we'll let you know about that. If there is a topic that any of you would either A, like to present on, or B, like to get presented, send us an email, let us know. We take requests, as they say. We're looking to be of service to the entire state, because the FFTA, which is built of chapters, does not necessarily reach every corner, but we can because we are virtual. So anybody can participate. They don't have to be a member of a chapter and get the benefit of that. And we would like to know what benefits y'all are looking for. We also dramatically reduced the fee down to $25 to make it super affordable for everybody. But that gives us not a whole lot of money to work with. And one thing that is really different from the FIN compared to the division is because we don't have a Larry who's paid to work 10 hours a week for us. We are an entirely volunteer board of just 4. So we get done what the 4 of us can get done. So just so you know.
Kind of like
that's
the old days before Larry.
Like the old days before Larry and before
or
other
Bob Glenn.
executive directors. I don't know. I wasn't a member of the division at the time that we didn't have an executive director. So so that is a very, very long time ago. But yes, it feels like kind of starting over. Anyway, so that's so we're here to serve the whole state in a whole state kind of way, as opposed to the FFTA. And I'll let Larry speak to what it does and how it is different.
Okay. Yeah, the FIN is actually part, Robin, of what AAMFT is now calling engagement program.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a geographic engagement program. In some states, they probably have cities like Minneapolis, maybe, that is an engagement program if they have their own thing going. They're all voluntary. When we renew our membership, then we select, do you want to be a part of the family team? Do you want to be part of any topical interest group? Do you want to be part of the Florida Interest Network as an engagement program? So that's what, I plan to continue to be an AMFT member. I'm not going to the conference this year in Austin. That's be one of the first I've missed in many, many years. But I do plan to continue to keep that as an identity as a marriage family therapist, because I don't think the other national group really have the same sort of identity that AAMFT does for us as marriage family therapists. ACA, APA, and ASW, they all have relational groups, but they do not have the same meaning or the same identity, in my opinion. Okay, that's Larry's opinion only. So FFTA, if you remember going back a few years ago now, when this idea first came out that AMFT was going to change the bylaws, as SICA bylaws changed, every division was given options of what do you want to do? Do you want to dissolve? And many did. Do you want to become an affiliate of AAMFT, which is most similar to the divisional status we had, or do you want to become an interest network? And we added a fourth to that, which was the option to be a standalone independent state association. And if you remember, we went around to all the chapters, every chapter we had at that time, and we, Melinda and I, did a training, and then Melinda and I did a question and answer, and we passed out surveys to people. And then at the end of the many months, we tallied the surveys. And there was a strong interest in retaining an independent status, which is where FFTA came from. Now, the reason it's called an alliance is because the primary purpose is only to focus on Florida and to align all the chapters. Now, we have hopes that we can expand the chapters. For example, we have interest in Jacksonville. We have interest in St. Petersburg. I have a group of people in St. Petersburg who want to reactivate a chapter there. I've talked to people in Miami about reactivating that chapter, even though it's still active, it doesn't do anything currently. And so there's a lot of interest like that with chapters, but we felt like chapters needed to be connected. Have 7, 8, 9, 10 or more chapters that were all standalone. We also felt that the best way, and this is Melinda's instinct also as a long time lobbyist in Florida, is that we need boots on the ground, and that the chapters have strength in being able to say, just like they did this year to our representative and Senator Mercado and Senator Torres, who sponsored the MFT bill. The chapter met with them, so it wasn't just an individual member. It represented Orlando, Central Florida. And so that's kind of what we want to support the work of these chapters. We also intend to do trainings. This past renewal, I went to every chapter and did renewal training, offered licensure renewal training. Now, what's happening, and in fact, I'm offering right now, licensure, pre-licensure training in Orlando in June, mid-June, to go down and meet at Nova Southeastern's campus there in Orlando and train up to 40 registered interns, not just MSTs, but any 491. What's happening is interesting is that most of the trainings, when I've done them over the past 2 years, the people who come really want to do in-person training. But most of the people who come are not your 30-year-olds, your 20-year-olds, that sort of thing. And just like with the registered interns, so far, we're not getting a huge interest in doing a live training that takes 14 hours. So it's spread out over 2 days, or 13 hours, sorry, 13 hours spread out over 2 days. Because the younger people don't have the same interest in meeting in person, networking in that way that people, especially the baby boomer generation, but even the younger generations past baby booms, also have interest in networking in person. So the chapters are all still working, except Tallahassee's kind of dormant right now. But the chapters as a whole, some of them are very strong and have large numbers at the meeting, and they want to do it in person. And so the big thing this year was to help get the chapters going, make the transition, that sort of thing. Now, we haven't sent out a link for people to join FFTA because there was a lot of stuff that had to be done in addition to the legislative support. I went with Melinda to the Capitol Hill twice and testified, committee meetings, things like that, to support the work that she was doing with the Interest Network on behalf of MFTs in Florida. But also, we had to change our whole website because the website we had, although FAMFT owned it, it was independent, it had AMFT stuff all over it. And so they wanted us to, of course, remove all of that so as people don't get confused, of course. The other thing we've had to do was we had to change our corporate status. And that took about 4 or 5 months to do that with the Division of Corporations. So the old FAMFT that was there for about 30 years as a corporate status in Florida has now been done away with. It's totally wiped away as if it never existed. So FFTA,
in many ways, Larry, it was like FMFT had to divorce AAMFT, get rid of all its assets, get rid of all of the information, change its last name, all of that, right? Decide who got the children.
Our purpose is not to compete.
All of that.
Yeah, our purpose is, at least in the leadership currently, our purpose is not to compete with AAMFT. There is a difference in our membership in that the members, to be a member of FFTA, you don't have to be a member of AMFT. So we're actually open to any licensed mental health professional, just like my wife Sandy, who's an LCSW. She's not a member of AMFT. Her national membership is NASW. But she has a real interest in working with families, and she does work with families. She has a real interest in the MFT work, and so she's joined FFTA. And that is a big difference to do that. But we don't have the membership drive ready to do. We've had some individuals who have gone ahead, like Annalyn and Irma, who've joined. We've had about 25 people. But what I can do, if you're interested in joining, Robin, I'll send you an invoice, email, electronic invoice, and it's $100 a year. And you just click on it, pay that, and then you'll be a member of FFTA.
Yeah, I'm confused as to did I miss something along the way? How did I?
No, because we just didn't have the technology ready to do that. And we've made a lot of strides. We've done a lot of work, although there for about 2 or 3 months, primarily we were focused on trying to get the Florida law changed. There were actually 3 bills this year, including the one that Melinda had sponsored with Mercado and Senator Torres. There were 3 bills that would have changed the LMFT law. One of them was with the Department of Health, their package bill. And the bill passed through all the committees. It passed the House. However, it got hung up and it was put on the calendar, but they never did call to vote on it, unfortunately, at the end. So
and
none of
just
the
to
bills
clarify,
have been passed.
legislative activities like that are the FIN and FFTA are collaborative. So
Yes,
just
I
so
would
you
say
know,
we're collaborative.
right.
Exactly.
So you know, Melinda the lobbyist is paid by the FIN, and she participates in the family team meetings of AAMFT, and is in regular communication with the legislative people at AAMFT. But she also very wisely includes Larry and Tyon and the FFTA people, so that, you know, the idea here is that between the 2 organizations, that we can capture as much of the state, as many MFTs, whether they are happy with AMFT or not, and whether they are actually MFTs or not, that we can capture as many people doing this work, doing this systemic work, to keep them educated, to keep them connected, collaborating, keep the laws up to date, all of that. We will collaborate, the 2 organizations, but access to the organizations are different, and kind of our presence is different, because as Larry's saying, FFTA is more centered in the chapters, which have been independent for years. I mean, years and years. The chapters have been wholly independent, had their own Fed ID, own website, own everything. And if FIN and FFTA were to suddenly disappear, the chapters would remain. They would still function to whatever degree the people of that chapter wish to make it survive, right? So to that, let me talk a little bit about, we've got some questions. Andrea, could you?
Let me say one other thing that's an important distinction. So the other thing is, we've worked for years with the regulatory board, 491 board, to have an alliance built, a strong alliance with them. And they still, in fact, when somebody calls and wants information about moving to Florida, or they have an ethics question, they don't answer any of those. They refer them. They're still referring them to me, basically to FFTA now. And basically, they've had a total staff turnover at the 491 board. And the 491 board is kind of struggling, to tell you the truth. They barely met the quorum, not the last meeting, but the one before that in well, they didn't meet the quorum in Jacksonville. They could not do any of the discipline cases. So it's important for us to support and align with that work, so that when they change rules, MFTs are represented. Because if we're not represented there, then NASW representative and the FOMCA representative are not going to take MFTs into account at all. So none of the rules would therefore be passed, by that would favor MFTs. So that's a huge thing that we're trying to keep going. And thus far, we've been fortunate to do that. although right now we've got a money crunch, then that's been a hindrance. But I wanted to make that distinction. The chapters and the regulatory board and supporting the work that Melinda and the FIN are doing.
So I have a question, Larry. So is Melinda at all involved in FFTA? Or
She is. She talks to me regularly. She calls. She asks for us to arrange meetings with legislators. She does not work for us, but as Annalyn said, we still have a very collaborative relationship. And you asked about the new law on telehealth. In fact, yes, Richard is aware of that, I'm sure. But that's one of the trainings that I'm thinking we want to put together in July or August to have a training in Orlando for the purposes of telling people about the new telehealth law. That one did pass.
And like, so one thing that I can see of us that would both show our collaboration and our difference is that the FIN will offer a training on telemental health virtually.
Yeah.
And FFTA will offer a similar training, same content, but offer it in person and on the ground.
Yeah, that
and
could
so
work.
people can get the information both ways. And even if they don't belong to either organization, we'll try to figure out a way to make them pay for either way they get it. Pay for it, you know, virtually by paying to be able to see the recording, or obviously anybody can show up and pay the fee to go to a workshop that's on ground. So that's a way that we are collaborating, but it also shows our distinction of virtual versus in person.
Yeah.
So I have a question, if you don't mind, because I am licensed in both Pennsylvania and Florida, and I'm presently residing in Florida. And I do telehealth. How would I access the information? Because the training is prior to, and I appreciate the information, which is really helpful to be part of this online virtual organization, I guess. But where do I access the information prior to the training, since it goes into effect July 1st?
Right. So one thing is that we will post we'll post the law and the summary of it on our website so that you can read it for yourself. Basically, though, the quick and dirty is that mostly what it says is how other people outside of Florida can provide services in Florida. We here in Florida could always do telemental health with Florida residents. So if no matter where you physically were, you could, if you're licensed in Florida, you could be in Tahiti and still do telemental health with someone who is in Florida. But mostly what the telemental health law is about how people outside of Florida can legally provide services. So it doesn't really help us. My hope is that this will be a law that other states will adopt similarly, and there'll be more cross-fertilization across state lines. Larry?
There will. There will be, because the 491 board members have been talking to other groups, other states, and they are collaborating to work that sort of thing out. But what hasn't, even though the law was passed, and I don't know if the governor's actually signed it yet or not. I haven't seen anything saying the governor has signed it, but I know he will, because this is one of his agenda items, is telemental health. And the law is passed. It'll go into effect typically July 1, but that's the law. That doesn't say anything about the nuts and bolts. So the 491 board has to write rules to implement the legislative intent, the law. And that is going to take a little while to develop. So as far as getting how to get training and so on and so on, and people being approved to provide training for telemental health. That has not been laid out yet. But what Annalyn said is very accurate about the general scope of the way the bill was worded.
And also, it isn't about telemental health. It's about telehealth. So you won't find it attached anywhere in 491 or anything like that. It's not, it's broader than that. It's telehealth. Right. So you won't be finding it in the chapters that we're used to looking for stuff. Okay. So yes, we will post it on, I'm sure Andrea is taking a note right now, and if she doesn't have the document, I'll be sure to send it to her. It'll be in our newsletter that we'll send out shortly. So we will put it out there where you can get at it and see what it says. But yeah, I think Larry's point is well made, is that anything that's different than we're currently doing, like any required training or anything like that, that won't happen until the 491 board talks about how that law is then implemented for us.
Right.
And is there any way that someone could tell me, I don't know how I got on your mailing list, but how would I find out if I paid the dues? Because I'm new in terms of Florida, in terms of when I renewed for AMFT, so I don't even know if I paid for that I don't know, FIN or whatever that was.
Ellen, just pay again. It's only $25. You know, no, I'm
kidding.
Oh,
okay, I didn't know if you already had the list and you knew. Okay.
If your name is on our email list, then at least as far as AMFT is concerned, is you're a member of FIN. So okay. if you wanna go in and look at your profile and see what you've paid for, that would be a way to do it. But for sure, whenever you renew next, whenever that is, then that you'll have to do it on purpose. And that's another huge difference, is that to be a member of FIN, you have to click and pay for it on purpose.
Right.
It used to be that if you were a member of AMFT, you were automatically an FAMFT member and you had to pay for it. You didn't have a choice. Now you have to choose to do so. Someone call me. Yes. Irma.
I have the list because I'm the secretary.
So she's looking at the list right now, Ellen, to see if you're on the list. But that I would think that's the only way you got our email is that you're on our list.
Right. Yeah. It's Ellen at ellenpipertherapy.com.
So you're on the list. You're considered a member then. So
thank you.
It may be, so this is what happened. So everybody's in a transition. Anyone who was a member of FAMFT, that means anybody who's an AMFT member and therefore an FAMFT member, was automatically made a member of the FIN until they renew. So it may be that your renewal is coming up soon, right? Because I renewed in October last year, and I had to choose to be a member of FIN. So we're winding up to the end of that first year of all the people that were automatically grandfathered in. Now, in order to remain, we'll have to choose it on purpose. And I'm frankly a little nervous about, our numbers have already dropped from 1,200 to 377, dropping even further. And so we need to do a lot more recruitment and things like that.
Well, I have a comment, Annalyn. I think to some extent, it's not clear how important it is to be a part of FIN for the advocacy piece. Because
you're right.
Money needs to be there. And I don't think that it's clear. I felt like at the conference last year when I felt like it was a sorority rush. All of the different interest networks were trying to recruit people to, be part of it and pay some dues.
Absolutely.
But I don't think, that it was as clear how important it is to maintain a membership in the state organization for the advocacy piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. And frankly, Robin, it feels a little weird in that many of the major things that FAMFT did is what got put onto the FIN, but with a whole lot less support, a whole lot less money, a whole lot more cost to continue to do business than FAMFT did. And we were told, in essence, that if we didn't create a FIN, that AMFT would go create one. I don't know who in the heck they thought was going to do all this hard work and do it for free and all that kind of good stuff. But at any rate, so this is one of the major reasons for tonight's meeting, is to help people understand FAMFT is no more. If you want to be a part of the state organization that does the legislating, you want to be a member of FIN, and it's only $25 at this point. And their FFTA is connected to the chapter. So in a way, AMFT FIN is kind of top down. FFTA is chapters up. So
but you know what? I think
that
there's another compelling reason to join FFTA, and that's for the 491 piece, because without that, then we lose our voice.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
really, it's important to be a member of both.
Of both, absolutely, because both organizations are collaborating for all of the advocacy stuff. Exactly.
Right, because
Exactly.
what FIN doesn't do for 491, we really need.
Right.
Well,
and now that they've fixed, when I rejoined back in January, when it was my renewal, the only option was $98 for the FIN. I'm glad to hear they finally got it corrected to what was voted for, which was $25. So actually joining both now is almost just slightly more than it would have been to be a member of FAMFT in the past. So it's $125 a year. So it's not an appreciable difference.
Right.
So I have a suggestion. It just came. So Anna Lynn, are you going to be in Austin?
No, I don't have the time or the wherewithal to do that. I know. I wish if there were Florida members there who could advocate for the FIN, that would be great. I don't know that it would be appropriate to advocate for FFTA. I just don't know.
Well, my thought is if there were enough Florida people, just to highlight the difference and the need for both.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I'm planning to go. I'll talk.
Good. And like I said, this recording, as soon as AMFT processes it, will be on our website. And we will send it out as a link to the members. And as soon as we get all of the AAMFT Florida members who are not FIN members, as long as we get their contact information, then we can send it out to them as well. But it's a lot of work to try to do this as a volunteer, as those of you who've been around a long time know. So the more, if anybody's got a couple of hours that they'd be willing to help with this kind of stuff, we would appreciate some of that help. And the simplest one would be to volunteer to be a presenter at one of these monthly webinars, and participate in ongoing training for the whole state and that sort of thing, or to write an article for our website or a newsletter. Really simple, small 1-hour tasks would certainly help us a lot. Now for FFTA, your best bet would be to get involved with a chapter. Is that not right, Larry?
Yeah, we're going to be having newsletters and everything. We've just got to finish getting our website and everything reset up and get it all working. But yes, we will be doing newsletters just like FAMFT always did, and so there will be more communication.
But the big difference is FIN is just FIN. It's just the one organization, whereas FFTA is chapter and then the chapter alliance, the
Individually.
alliance of the chapters. And so that's a huge difference to understand. So one can be very active in the chapter and doing things like that is a way to contribute to FFTA. So it's kind of it's not really two-tier, not exactly. The governance is from the bottom up, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's a different it's a different beast than FIN
In the
is.
sake of time, well, I'm sorry. In the sake of time, I remember someone has a meeting at 7 o'clock. I just wanted to ask a couple of the questions that were online.
Yeah, let's
just
get
for anyone
those.
who's
Let's
interested.
get those. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, I posted some, but I'm just going to go ahead and just pick the best ones, I'll say.
Okay.
And so this is, of course, for you, Dr. Skilling and Dr. Barlow. So one of the biggest ones, and I could always go back and send the email with the division, how we broke it down the first time with the FIN versus FFTA and AAMFT. So the FIN 10 Gen, I'll send that back out one more time. One of their questions was, other than collegiately and offering CEs, the purpose to join FFTA as well as FIN, what would you like me to send out on the newsletter?
I think we've talked about it here.
Right.
Yeah, I think we've said it, and it in a lot of ways I think it has to do with how does any one individual like to engage. If you if you prefer to engage virtually, then FIN does that exclusively. If you want to engage in person and go to events that are on the ground and interactive in person, then the chapter in FFTA is going to be more for you. But why miss out? Because, you know, we're going to collaborate enough that those things that we think should be offered in both platforms, live and virtual, we'll do that. But there will be plenty of ways in which we're going to be offering different things. And so, you know, that way you'll have a broader choice of what you attend. So there's that.
But
Okay,
I think that just in addition to emphasizing that, the advocacy piece and the 491 piece really has to be emphasized just as much. It's not just about training virtually or in person.
I agree.
Right.
I agree, because the rules are so important with the 491 board, and the people that serve on the 491 board. My wife Sandy was chair, as many of you know, for a number of years, and I know all the people on the board. But they're elected to protect the consumer. They're not there to take care of MFTs or LCSWs or professional counselors, mental health counselors. They're there to protect the consumer. So we have to have representation there, or it's not going to take long before rules are going to be rewritten and MFT, that's the small guy, are going to be left out.
Right. And it will take both our organizations rallying all members to participate.
It is. Yeah, you have to keep in mind that NASW, when you look at LCSWs and LMHCs, they have over 10,000 licensees of each one of those groups. So those well over 20,000 people. We have about 2,400 people licensed in the MFT world, and that includes our interns. So just by sheer numbers, when the staff at DOH, you know, are interested, they're going to reach out to the larger groups, unless we advocate to be involved.
Unless we elbow our way into the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we do now.
Well, we have those connections. Yeah, well, and you know, Larry's going to want to retire one of these days. So it's really important that we cultivate the next generations of people who will take up the challenge of staying in touch and going to the meetings. And I mean, one of the reasons Larry gets called all the time is because he attends every one of those damn meetings. Well, they're all up in the north part of the state. They don't come down to South Florida. So it makes it really, really challenging for the South Florida people to participate. And so that's why we need, and by the way, the north part of the chapter or of the state is also where we don't have as many chapters of FFTA, right? And so neither organization is strong up there. So it takes both our organizations to make the connection and get more people engaged.
So speaking for
I'm going to say goodbye and sign off.
Good night, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. Good to see you.
What are some other questions, Andrea, so we make sure we get those answered?
So speaking for recruitment as well as the chapters, and speaking for Jacksonville myself, when it comes to the $100 membership, the people that I do have on my little list, what would that cover?
Right. Yeah. So the $100 would get them what, Larry?
Well, it gets you the representation. It gets you the, we're offering free 6 hours of free training every year as part of that. So in essence, you're getting a trade-off. You can do free training for licensure renewal, particularly, or anything else, you know, at the level. We also offer a travel package membership that's free as a part of it. And there's some other little perks like that, Andrea. Now, for interns and for students, it's not $100. So student membership is $25, interns are $40. So there's a difference.
Right, right. And of course, for FIN, it's $25 across all categories.
Right.
Okay. And as far as the chapter itself, so the rebranding, well, I say rebranding, but if a new chapter emerges wherever, if it's Jacksonville, which it's going to be, of course, and like you said, St. Peter's and things like that. So have there been bylaws created for FFTA? Are they merging down?
Yeah. Yeah, we do have, we had to rewrite, that's part of what took a long time. We had to rewrite our bylaws and get our board, the FFTA board, to pass those and register those with the state. So we have model bylaws now for the new rebranded chapters. And some of the chapters are that are active are in the process of redoing theirs.
And Larry, is the FFTA board now made up of the presidents of the chapters? What is the governance now?
Yeah, all the chapter presidents are members, and then there are 3 elected at-large members: president, secretary, and treasurer.
And they are elected from among the presidents or from among the membership?
No, they're just elected from membership.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
More questions?
So, yeah, just a couple, because I know we got like 6 minutes till 7. So I did see, Dr. Barlow, you put on there your email for anyone who wants to join. Is that the mailing list or to become a member? Or do you want to just...
Either one. Send it to me. Just send me an email and I'll put you on our list. And if you want to join, I'll send you an invoice with Square that you can pay online. Real simple.
Okay, I'll write that down as well, because we're going to add all of this to our newsletter, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure that we're going to advertise FFTA, but we might say if you have a question about FFTA and direct them to Larry. We could do that.
Exactly.
We could do that.
And a personal question for myself, as far as the mailing list, I want to say there was a question on the chat that I can't pinpoint right now. Oh, no, here it is. Is there a way for the recording of this meeting to be shared to the 12,000? So, of course, FIN has our mailing list. Do we want this to be sent out to FFTA since you are present tonight? Is that okay?
I think because we have members of both, that if FFTA members receive the newsletter or the information and wish to distribute it, we're certainly not going to tell them not to do that.
Okay, just wanted to check.
And certainly because you have a Facebook of the FIN, that will certainly be published there.
Okay, so that works, so then they'll be able to access it.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, that's all I have for now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Ellen or Carrie or Vinny, do you have any questions for us?
No,
At the moment I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
I'm just taking it all in. I'm
Thanks.
glad I came because I would not have known to click on the other to join.
Okay, right. And Carrie, any questions?
I don't. I appreciate that it was laid out what the difference is, because it's still just trying to sort that out and figure who does what, where, when, why. Oh, I do have a question, Annalyn, sorry. And this goes back to the previous meeting. Was someone going to send out, and forgive me if I'm misquoting here, a script that we were supposed to be able to use once we find our district people? Because I found mine. And I'm anxious to go talk to them.
All right. Yes, we do in fact have a script. And so, you know, once I get my academic papers graded, I'll be able to spend some time on the newsletter and getting all that distributed.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
you betcha. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's another thing that we, you know, we're a clearinghouse for information of this type, right? So you know, we are advocates for both organizations, or advocates for all MFTs, regardless of, and that's why we encourage people to join both, because, you know, we are working in collaboration, offering different things, but all in the support of. So, yeah. Okay. Well, again, Larry, thank you very much for helping me and us clarify. I'm sure there's still more to be clarified. I'm sure there's lots of questions that people have. If at the end of listening to this, anyone who listens to it, if you do have a questions, shoot us an email. Larry's is in there, and I can stick mine in here as well, so that we can. Did I do it right? Nope. There we go. So scroll through the messages and see the various emails and things. Please keep asking the questions, and if you are so moved, please join. So
May I
thank
ask
you very
one
much.
more question? I apologize. I just thought
Sure.
I'm in Palm Beach Gardens. How do I know where the local FFTA chapter is in terms of meetings, since it's not virtual?
Very good.
Yeah. So Debbie Manigate is the leader, one of the two leaders in Palm Beach. And they had one meeting at Nova Southeastern there in Fort Lauderdale area, Davie, I guess. And they haven't planned another meeting yet. So I've been talking with Debbie about that. They want me to come down and do something. So we're trying to work out some dates.
Probably what needs to, I would hope, Larry, that at some point on your website that you'll have available.
Yeah, we'll have all that.
A list of all the chapters and all the people that are contacts.
Right.
And so that if a chapter isn't up and running, you know, Ellen and Carrie can go harass those people to, hey, make this happen. And for those of you who are listening to this recording and are in a county that has no chapter, then please reach out to Larry, and we will support you to create a chapter, just like Jacksonville is starting to, looking to wind up and create one. I think there was a question in the chat about North Central Florida, and I assume that's the Gainesville chapter. I'm not sure what's happening with them, but
they're meeting. They're meeting regularly.
Okay. So if you don't know if you've got a chapter, reach out to Larry. He'll tell you if there is one, and probably a contact information.
Well, Larry at larrygreen.com is the president, and they do have active meetings.
Very
Larry at larry.green.com.
That's Gainesville.
Could you also add the link for the FFTA website on the chat so that when we do send out the recording, they could see it there as well, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This may shut down automatically in a minute. So thank you, everyone. And as soon as this recording is available, we'll post it. And thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.